Hi, this is Tom Hart. I'm the Vice President of Operations here at VictorOps.
And I'm Eric Byberg, and I am an Operations Support Specialist here at VictorOps.
So every Tuesday at 2 o'clock Mountain, we do what we call Tuesdays at 2. We go through just a general product overview of the features and functionality of the VictorOps platform. We don't have a question and answer session in this particular venue, but we do encourage you to get a hold of the support team at support@victorops.com if you do have any questions at the conclusion of the demo. And please know that we'd be more than happy to set up a one-on-one demo with you or your organization as well. At this point in time, we're going to start a screen share and we're going to go over to our demo account. So bear with us for a sec. Okay, you should be seeing the VictorOps web user interface in front of you. Before we get into the features and functionality, I should reference the fact that we also have a native iOS and Android client as well that are reflective of the experience that you're seeing in front of you now. It's just easier for Eric and I to go through the web UI, to go through the primary features and functionality. So a bit of background on the VictorOps platform and how we're different from some of the other solutions that you may be familiar with in the marketplace. Our background is in telecommunications. So for about a 10-year period of time, the core leadership team here at VictorOps, myself included, had to build, maintain, and support a global telephony network. And that network required 5 nines uptime. We recognized through that experience that there really wasn't a single collaborative platform for IT professionals and operations people to come together to collaborate to solve issues. So the VictorOps platform was born from that experience to try and, again, bring people together in a collaborative environment to solve issues faster. So with that background in mind, I'm going to turn it over to Eric, and he's going to go through the people pane on your left-hand side of the screen.
Alrighty, Roo. Over here on the left side, we have what we call the people pane. This is going to be the entire list of the members of your organization. Starting at the top here, it looks like we have about 5 people with oak leaves next to their name. That is used to denote that they are currently on call. The team that they're currently on call for is listed in orange. So you have Joni, she's on call with the tutor example in every one team. And we have Jason Hand here, and he's a superstar. He's on call for 3 separate teams. If you move down right below them here, we see that we have Joseph, who has a green dot next to his name. That does not mean that he's on call. What that means is that he's actually logged into the app sometime within the last probably 30 minutes or so. So he's effectively paying attention and checking in on what's going on. That green dot will decay over time until it looks kind of like these translucent green ones. It'll decay, I think, over 3 hours, I believe. Yeah. And that's just to give you a frame of reference to know kind of how fresh and how recently they've checked in. If you click on people's name here, pulls up their email address and their phone numbers, all their contact information is available. You can also have sidebar conversation with them here that will not be recorded in the main timeline, and the other user will receive push notifications on their device that you're chatting with them. Additionally, up here, you can also use an @ mention or an @ mention to mention a team. But if we needed to reach out to, let's reach out to Tom. He's Irish Warhammer, and say, hey, help. He'll then receive a push notification on his device, and he can then log into the app and find out what's going on. A lot of people,
we use that feature quite a lot in off hours and on the weekend. Obviously, the VictorOps support team here, we use VictorOps to support our own infrastructure, and the @ and @ features are super handy in off hours and weekend hours to pull people in if and when you need assistance on a particular issue.
In addition to kind of going on the fly like that and reaching out for help or reaching out to your teammates in the middle of a firefight here, you can also click on somebody's name if they're currently on call, and we have the Take on Call button. As Tom was mentioning, you could do an @ mention and say, hey, can you help out and They can go ahead and jump right in here, click the Take on Call button, and effectively pass the pager at that point, and they are currently assuming all responsibilities and duties of being on call for whatever time you guys set ahead of time. As we go a little bit further into the product in our scheduling section, we'll go over our scheduled overrides as well.
So back to the center timeline, everything that we've talked about here, if you set an at reference, if you take on call, if you obviously receive an incident from one of your monitoring solutions like Nagios or New Relic or whatever you may be using, all of that goes into the primary timeline. We have no shame in admitting that we're stealing a little bit from Twitter here in terms of just a constant feed or stream of event activity as it relates to your infrastructure. Back to the collaborative nature of the platform, again, we're trying to introduce the social media element into infrastructure management, meaning, at a swipe, you're at your son or daughter's sporting event, you've got your iOS device with you, you can quickly swipe on the VictorOps application and see what's going on, and then chime in if need be, if you have expertise in a particular area. I'm going to turn it over to Nate. At this point in time, he's going to go through the right-hand side of the screen. He was with us at the onset of the demo, but doesn't like to be on camera.
So I quickly want to walk through the life cycle of an incident when it enters into the VictorOps timeline. In order to summon in, I'm going to use Hubot, who is a robot that sits in our timeline. You are able to write scripts and then call upon him at any time. So I have a script written to hit our REST endpoint. So I'm going to use that now to create an incident. As you see, when this first opens up, it's got to show up in the main timeline here. It will say who is paging and what time it opened at. It'll also appear over here on the right. All alerts queue up here on the right. We can even do a more get a couple more incidents coming in just to kind of see how things flow through. But clicking in on an incident, you're going to be presented with a timeline specific to just this incident. So as you see, a lot of action is happening over here, but you can break off and go into a separate chat room, you can think of it, and send a number of different notifications. So if I wanted to send a notification to myself, hey, can you help with this incident? It's automatically going to pin the incident number so that when I get that push notification to my phone, I know what I'm being called in to help out with. I can also acknowledge the incident from in here. This will essentially say, hey, I'm taking care of it, and I'll move it down to this queue down here. So as you see, it says act by VO admin, which is who I'm logged in as. And that way, you have full transparency into who is working on each individual incident. The other options from both the trigger state or the acknowledge state is to reroute. Rerouting an incident essentially sends it off to a different team and starts paging for those individuals. So if I thought this is an incident better suited for the database team, I could reroute it that way. And it will automatically start paging the individuals on call for that team. Again, clicking in to the incident timeline, I can see everything that's happened with this specific incident. I'm going to act it again so it stops paging. One other thing I wanted to point out just before we move on to the schedules is annotations. It's a new feature that we have that allows you to annotate bits of information, whether it be a link, like as you see here, a note, so this is just a triage note, or an image, so this is just a graph pulled from our graphite instance. How it works is you're able to use different rules that look for information from within the actual payload itself. So you can match on host name or entity or really anything that you pass through into our system, you were able to create rules on, and then you can take action there. Other options are on the right side here are to filter by instance for you and your team. And then finally, maintenance mode. Maintenance mode allows you to stop all pages from being set so no one gets notified. Alerts will still go into the main timeline here, but no alerts will be sent out. So you will not lose any information, but no pages will be sent. So no one will be woken up.
So from here, we're going to go into some of the administrative settings of the VictorOps platform. These are only available at present through the web user interface. Our rationale there is that we figured people would not want to try and set up an on-call rotation on their phone. So therefore, we allow the creation of on-call schedules and rotations through the web UI only at this point in time. That applies to our reporting module as well, that we'll get into here in just a bit. But in terms of on-call schedules, as you can see here, we have a variety of teams in the demo account. And maybe we can, as Eric is scrolling down here, you can see that we have full flexibility in terms of whatever scheduling needs you might have. If it's a follow the sun type of rotation where you've got people in different geographic areas of the world, you can accommodate that by establishing a follow the sun rotation. And as you can see in the highlighted escalation policy here, you can set up rules at the team level, and then we'll also show you how you set up notification policies at the individual user level. But you can set up as many steps in your escalation policies as need be. So you can add all manner of granularity here. And as Eric is scrolling through, you can select a variety of different ways to notify in terms of your escalation tree. So a common one is obviously notify the current person in rotation. If they don't acknowledge an incident in 15 minutes, escalate the incident to the previous on-call person or who is on call next. So things like that gives you full flexibility. I should state with all the administrative features, we're always available to assist. So if you do go ahead and set up a 14-day free trial at VictorOps.com, the support team here at VictorOps, Nate, myself, Eric, are always available to assist you in getting your on-call schedules set up. The nice thing is about on-call schedules is, for the most part, once you get them set up, you're off to the races and you really don't have to spend too much time doing administrative work. And again, we're always available to assist in getting those set up. So from here, I'm going to have Eric drive into the Users tab, and this is again where you set up your individual users and their associated notification policies.
Yeah, so this is almost kind of like the people pane, but this is going to be the admin side of things. This is also going to be where when you set up your VictorOps account, you're going to invite users. Just click Invite User here, you add in the email and click the plus button, and it's as easy as that. Then the onus is on them to go ahead and accept that invitation within, I believe it's 48 hours, and then they'll be added into your team here. We'll go ahead and click on Dan Jones. This is going to be all of his information that's used in the account here. We highly recommend you keep all this information up to date on a regular basis, so that way if something goes wrong and we try and contact you, we can actually get a hold of you. You can add in all manners of emails, phone numbers, and things like that. And then at the bottom here, we have a personal paging policy. So because this is a demo account, it's not really set up in a realistic fashion, but you can set this up for every minute, send an email address to a certain email. You can set it up with as many steps as you want. You can have all 4 steps fire at one time. And in case we didn't mention it already, those 4 steps are SMS, push notification, emails, and phone calls. So you can have all 4 of those things fire off at once. Your phone will go berserk, and you can go ahead and jump in the firefight and help take care of business.
We should reference as well on both Android and iOS, you have the capability to set custom sounds for your VictorOps notifications. So Eric's pulling up his application now, so maybe we can give you an example here. But there's a variety of different sounds that we can play. There's an example of a siren. So that's one that we use for critical incidents here, and it definitely, trust me, wakes you up. So from here, we're going to jump into integrations and just briefly go through our integration capability. On the right-hand side of the screen, you can see the variety of different monitoring solutions that we currently have formal integrations with. As you probably well know, there are a ton of different monitoring solutions out there in the industry. So we're constantly working on additional integrations Every sprint that we do, we've got another integration that we're working on. Nate actually does a lot of the integration work as well, so I'm going to let him talk to some of the key, the REST API and our email endpoint.
So both the REST endpoint and the email endpoint work in very similar fashions. The REST endpoint is always going to be a little bit cleaner just because you're able to define the payload that comes into our system. And how it works is we just give you this URL. The API key here is associated to your organization, and then you can add a routing key to the end of the URL, which is defined at the bottom of this page and determines what team it's going to go to. So database will go to database, VictorOps to follow the sun. And as you see, all the integrations that are under this REST endpoint with the dot next to them all use the same URL. The other ones have a little bit of different templating in the backend on our side, so they have their own REST endpoint. And that is definitely the suggested way to go about it. The email endpoint is the other option. It's not as robust as the REST endpoint is, but it is very easy to set up. Again, we give you an API key, and then you can add a routing key that determines what team it's going to. And what we do from there is we parse the subject line of the email. So if it says critical, we'll create a critical incident. And if it says acknowledged or resolved, we will acknowledge or resolve that incident. At any time, if you have any questions about getting an integration going, don't hesitate to reach out to support@VictorOps.com. We are always here to help.
So from here, we're going to go into our reporting module, if you will, and highlight a couple of reports. Eric is pulling up what we call our retrospective or post-mortem report. This is a really efficient means by which, if you have to adhere to a service level agreement and you do have an outage or triage type of situation that requires a write-up or retrospective, this is an efficient means by which you can go in, select a date and time, and as Eric is demonstrating here, go through and either remove bits of information that are irrelevant to the story, or annotate, add notes as Eric is doing to specific elements in that timeline that were, obviously associated to the outage or triage incident in question. So that's a quick look at our post-mortem report. From here, we can jump back out to, I should state that once you save that report, it is available in your VictorOps instance for reference. You can also save it as a PDF if you need to send it out internally or externally as a graceful or formal-looking report.
Also, just as a best practice, we currently use this in our own organization. We have a weekly postmortem every Wednesday, and we run through this stuff and just see what went wrong during the week and how it can improve from those mistakes. I'll go ahead and jump back out here to the other reports. Go ahead and show you the incident frequency report. Let it load up here. So this is going to be a list of all of the different components in your infrastructure that are generating alerts. They're sorted by the most noisy to least noisy. You can tell this is the most noisy because of the way that it is. If you highlight over it, it'll show you the last alert that came through around it, and you can get some details there. We think this is just especially important just so if there's something that's an outlier or extremely noisy, you can go ahead and retool things or retool the parameters upon which it sends alerts and kind of just retool it so it's less noisy and doesn't wake you up as much.
Recent report that we just introduced, I apologize, we're in our demo account, so the data is a little raw, but user metrics. So you can see by your individuals in your organization, as you see in front of you, how many incidents those individuals have received, how many they've acknowledged, mean time to acknowledgement, recoveries, and mean time to resolution. So another useful report that's available to you. At this point in time, we're going to stop screen sharing. We've gone through the primary features and functionality of the VictorOps platform, and we'll go back to, one second here. There you go.
There we go.
So we hope that you found that useful, and as we've stated throughout the demonstration, the support team is always available to assist just reach out to us at support@VictorOps.com. Myself and Eric and Nate, doesn't like to be on camera, but he has a beard, are always here and available to assist you. Again, you can set up a 14-day free trial out at VictorOps.com, and feel free to reach out to us at support@VictorOps.com. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.